Great day. My name is Wanda Rochelle. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a special guest with me. I have my colleague, my friend, my awesome lender here, also known as the People's Lender, Mr. Kevin Jefferson. Go ahead and greet the people, Kevin.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Kevin Jefferson, like you said, the people's lender, and I lend to the people.
Awesome. So today we are talking about how to buy out your share if you are in a probate situation and you want to buy out one of your siblings in the sale of a home. And so let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Wanda Rochelle. I'm a licensed realtor and probate specialist serving Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. So let's talk about it. Is that possible,
It
Kevin?
is possible, very possible.
Okay, what does that process look like?
So the process looks like, of course, they have to have the documentation in place showing that they have the ability to sell the property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens, then obviously we see the ownership. So let's say it's split into three, it's three siblings. Then what we can do is the sibling that wants to buy the other two out has to
Mm-hmm.
still qualify like a typical mortgage.
Okay.
So he or she has the ability to take the equity out of the property to pay off the additional two siblings, and they can keep what belongs to them either in the property, or they can take the equity out that belongs to them as well and maintain ownership of the property.
Okay, so let's give an example of that. Let's say the house is $300,000 and it's
Oh,
three siblings.
all right, it's three siblings and the house is $300,000. Then the sibling who wants to buy out the other two siblings can get a loan for the 200,000 plus any additional expenses, so they don't have to come out of pocket. They go to close, they qualify for the loan, and then at closing, those funds are dispersed to the other two siblings. So if their name is on, if all three of their names are on the property, then it's a refinance. It's just like a refinance. So they're refinancing the equity out of the property to give to the other two siblings.
Okay, so as a realtor that specializes in probate, of course, for those of you that are watching, this would be outlined in the will. Your deceased loved one stated, if in this case there are three children, and we're assuming that the um that it was divided equally. Let's say it wasn't divided equally. Let's say Kevin is two siblings, and for whatever reason, maybe the mom passed away and gave one sibling 60% and the other one 40%. So is it still the same? How does that?
Same process. You would just probably send over that documentation to the attorney who's handling the closing so he can see what portion that sibling gets. So if it's a 60-40 and I get the 60 and my brother or sister get the 40%,
Uh-huh.
then they get compensated the 40% from the proceeds based upon, the sale of the property, the price of the property. I'm sorry.
Okay. And so let me ask you this. Of course, in the lending process, you stated that the person that will be getting the loan still has to qualify. That means
Right.
let's talk about that briefly. Because maybe the person hadn't purchased a home in a long time. What does that look like? Credit, employment.
So they still need to have a qualifying credit score. They need to have 2 years of W-2s or bank statement, 2 years of W-2s, 2 months of bank statements, most recent pay stubs, as well as copy of their driver's license and another government form of government ID. It also, I want to make sure I clarify, it also works for someone who's on Social Security or disability or military, disability or pension. All of those incomes qualify as long as they're likely to continue for 3 years.
Mhm.
So that, as long as they qualify. Now, the kicker is if the sibling that wants to buy out the other two already owns a property.
Okay.
then that's looked at as an investment property. So he or she could pull out up to 80% of the loan to value or of the appraised value and pay them out as well. The fees on that are a little bit more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
However, they can be paid out. Something you didn't ask, but I'm digging into it. I'm sorry.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
So let's say the brother who wants to buy the house has never owned a home,
Mm-hmm.
but his name and his siblings' names are on the deed. He's
Okay.
no longer considered a first time home buyer, because being a first time home buyer means in Georgia not having owner interest in a property for 3 years. So even if you inherit it and didn't buy it, if your name is on the deed, you
Mm-hmm.
have owner interest and you no longer qualify as a first time home buyer.
Okay. So now you mentioned Georgia, and I know I'm licensed in Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. What other states are you licensed in?
My team and I am directly licensed in Georgia, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Delaware, Texas, soon to be Maryland. But I on my team, we're licensed in 46 states, so we can help
Okay.
you pretty much. Can't help you in New York, can't help you in Rhode Island, and I can't think of the other two states, but we're licensed in 46 states.
Okay, good. Awesome. So anyone watching, we've covered the entire United States for you if you
Got
need
you.
our services. Let's talk about the appraisal. So of course, and I like to, I always in my head, I try to make it as plain for people because I can't assume that everyone knows everything. But when we go through the loan process, the appraisal comes from the lender, correct?
Correct.
Do you suggest in this situation that me as a realtor, that I have my client have it appraised in advance, or we should just, do my realtor appraisal, and see what's going to happen when your appraisal comes back? What do you think?
So I would say you could do your comparative market analysis to kind of
Mhm.
get an idea of where the value is, because at the end of the day, the appraisal that matters is the one that is provided to us through the financing or the refinance, right?
Right,
Um, and then it could come in higher than the appraisal they pay for out of pocket. It could come in lower,
right,
and the way the percentage is broken up is based off of the appraised amount. So, if it is 300,000 and they thought it was worth 400,000 and the two siblings get 75%, or 66%, then it's split equally between them two, their portion. So it's not based off of the 400,000 that they thought, it's based off of the 300,000 that came back at value.
at their appraised value.
Yep,
Okay.
praise value.
So, dealing with probate, sometimes there are a lot of siblings. I've seen a case once where there were 14 siblings, and we know we know back in the day, way back in the day, people may have had that many children. I don't think people do that these days, but is there a limit to the number of siblings?
No, there's
Okay.
not a limit. The property or the amount gets dispersed upon amongst all people who have ownership in it or it was left to. So if it was 14 siblings and the house was $300,000, each one of them get their portion.
Okay. And I'm going to ask this question, even though I know the answer to it. Let's say there's 6 siblings and we can't find 3 of them. Will it work?
No,
Right.
it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work because you don't have clear title.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's where you hire an attorney to find out where the siblings are. And that can start to go down a rabbit hole, because if one of the siblings is deceased, then their portion typically will go to their heir. So then instead of it being 6, if that sibling passed, but they have 4 kids, now it's 9 people.
Ooh, this getting good. Welcome to probate. That's what I deal with on a daily basis. So let me ask you this: Is this is the process the same if it's a couple that's getting a divorce and one spouse
Buy out the
buys
other.
the other spouse?
Yeah, same
Same
process.
process.
Pretty much. If both of them are on the on title and on the mortgage, or on the property, then the other one can buy the other one out and get proceeds. I actually have a case going on like that right now. Um, so they both are the husband's buying out the wife. So she'll get her proceeds and then she'll take her proceeds to purchase another home. So it can be done the same way, and it would actually be court order. Um, they would see we would see what the court order is on how the funds are dispersed. Not necessarily us, the attorney's office would see it, and then they would disperse the funds that way. We just make sure that the wife is eligible to qualify for a loan.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned the court order because that was going to be my next question to talk about the paperwork because all of this has to be documented from the court, from the judge. In probate, there are letters of administration, a petition for leave to sell. That's the name of some of the documents that are required that the attorney is going to require for this sale to go through or to be completed. So I think my final question is about the closing costs. What does that look like? Is that negotiated among the siblings? What is the process with that, Kevin?
Typically, it can go a couple ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
First way, it's split equally between the three. But of course, there may be a sibling that says, "You the one that want to buy us out, so why should I pay?"
Mm-hmm.
And the one that's buying is going to say, "Well, you want me to buy you out, why should I pay?" Either way, it's typically nothing that's coming out of pocket per se. It is taken from the proceeds. But how they want that divvied up and who pays for it, they could have if they have an agreement, or technically, since the sibling wants to buy the other two and they're the one financing the home, it could come from their side.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Hopefully it's a peaceful
peaceful,
peaceful situation with the siblings.
peaceful,
So is
peaceful.
there anything else you want to add about the process of buying a sibling, buying out another sibling for a purchase of a home?
So no, not really. I think just them being able to qualify is key. It's because you already own it doesn't make it an easier process,
Mm,
which people tend to think. You still have to have your ducks in a row, and you're still, you're refinancing a house or financing a house. So you still have to show us you have the ability to carry that mortgage. And if you already own a home, you have to show that you have the ability to carry the mortgage of your current home as well as the home that you're purchasing, to use for investment. So on that side, there's, we've got to figure out, are you keeping that as a primary residence and going to move into your parents' house or grandparents' house,
mhm,
or are you going to keep it in a family and lease it out?
mhm. One thing I just thought about was that, the person has to qualify. And there are sometimes, unfortunately, situations where the person doesn't qualify because of their credit.
Right.
But probate can, in many cases, be a long process from the time when you initially file that petition until we get to the point where they're looking for heirs or the paperwork process is slow. So I say that to say that if you're watching this and you're in a situation where you know that your credit is not where it needs to be, if you're considering purchasing that home or any home, go ahead and start working on your credit. Reach out to myself or reach out to Kevin so we can give you some tips or some tools to help you, because the probate process may, in some cases, it take years, or months. So you may have time to work on it.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. So thank you for joining us today. We hope that this has been a blessing to help you in the probate process. If you're considering buying out one of your siblings, or even if you're in the process of getting a divorce and want to buy out your spouse. So we appreciate you watching us today. Please feel free to reach out to Kevin. I will have the People's Lender. I will have his contact information in the description area below. My name is Wanda Rochelle, and I'm a licensed realtor and probate specialist serving Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. I encourage you to like the video, comment below if you have any other questions. Maybe it's something that we didn't answer for you, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.